What's up, y'all? It's your boy, Jay Calderon, Stand Clear Entertainment, and we're about to get into this week's boxing talk. This Saturday, September 28th, in Los Angeles, California, at the Staples Center, it's the welterweight showdown between IBF champion Errol Spence versus WBC champion Shawn Showtime Porter. This is a great matchup boxing fans have been waiting for. It's going to be on Fox pay-per-view. It's a $75 charge for standard and $85 for HD. Pretty high price tag. You know, this pay-per-view is probably not going to do so well. A lot of people are feeling that Errol Spence is the next biggest thing in boxing right now. Errol Spence is one of the best welterweights in the division of 147 pounds. He's a monster, a beast that is undefeated. But this by far is the best fighter on paper that he has faced so far. We know that he faced Kell Brooks, who was the best fighter at the time that he faced. Kell Brooks was the number 3 welterweight when he fought him over in England, and he put on a very good display against Kell Brooks, but it was a very competitive fight because Kell Brooks gave him one hell of a fight. It was a close matchup throughout the fight. Kell Brooks was in this fight until the later part where Errol Spence took over the fight and he started to break his man down. He started to beat him and really mess up his eye, and he was able to stop Kell Brooks in the late rounds. Kell Brooks basically quit in that fight because he started to take a real serious beating down the stretch. And that was the biggest victory of Errol Spence's career, where he captured the title. You know, he fought Lamont Peterson, who was washed up at the time. He also fought Mikey Garcia, who was a smaller man moving up from the lightweight division to the welterweight division, 2 weight divisions, you know, and Mikey Garcia was basically an undefeated fighter, a top pound-for-pound fighter, you know, a big name on his resume. But we expected Errol Spence to win that fight. And I predicted that fight that Errol Spence was going to win by decision because that's what I felt. He was the much bigger man, and I felt that Mikey Garcia had enough experience and was good enough a fighter to go 12 rounds with the champion, and that's exactly what he did. A lot of people were saying that Errol Spence was going to go in there and bulldoze Mikey Garcia and knock him out because he was the smaller guy, and that just didn't happen. We saw the technical skills that Errol Spence possesses, and he put on a boxing clinic against Mikey Garcia. You know, people want to say that he didn't really want to knock out Mikey Garcia. He just wanted to showcase his skills. Even Errol Spence himself said that he wanted to show people that he could box Mikey Garcia, so he was able to keep him at distance, use the jab, use the foot movement, and look very spectacular in that fight to a unanimous 12-round decision. He basically had a shutout in that fight for 12 rounds, but you're not going to tell me that he didn't want to knock out Mikey Garcia and really put him away. You know, that's just nonsense right there if you really believe that, because Mikey Garcia, you know, as small as he was taking a vicious beating in those late rounds where he looked like he was about to get stopped. Even his corner, his brother, Robert Garcia, was about to throw in the towel because he was taking such a vicious beating. It was just that Errol Spence couldn't pull the trigger and finish him off. There was no mercy in that fight. I don't want to hear that nonsense. You know, he's saying right now that if he doesn't knock out Shawn Porter, which he really wants to knock out Shawn Porter, he said that he will be disappointed if he doesn't get the KO in this fight. So he's definitely going for the KO, and I don't want to hear no excuses from no boxing fans saying that, you know, oh, you know, he showed mercy on Shawn Porter, and that's why he didn't knock out Shawn Porter, because I truly believe this fight is going 12 rounds. It's a great matchup between both men. You know, I see Errol Spence, of course, as the bigger fighter. This man is a southpaw. He has great boxing skills. He showed that in the Mikey Garcia fight. I think he's a better boxer than Shawn Porter. He has a good jab. He's an excellent body puncher, and he's going to go to the body and try to inflict as much pain as possible to Shawn Porter's body in this fight. And, you know, the favorite in this fight is definitely Errol Spence in this fight. You know, Shawn Porter is in shape all year long. This guy is always in great fighting shape, and he's just tweaking up what he does best in the gym, and he's coming in peak form condition. I think he's trained actually a little harder in this fight than he's done in previous fights, and Shawn Porter has been working with some big guys in the gym. You know, he's trying to get accustomed to fighting big men like Errol Spence. He took on the services of David Benavidez, who is also fighting on the undercard against Anthony Durrell. David Benavidez is a super middleweight that fights at 168 pounds. This is a big guy, probably walks around close to 180 pounds, and he was working with Shawn Porter. These guys wasn't going hard with each other. They were just trying to get work in and trying to get adjusted to working against a big guy. He also worked with WBO middleweight champion, 160-pounder Demetrius Andre, who is also a southpaw, a slick boxer, somebody that can emulate the somewhat of a style of Errol Spence. They're not technically the same, but, he's a southpaw. Also like Errol Spence, he's a big guy. So, he's going to work on certain things with a southpaw fighter like Demetrius Andre, and they got some good work in. So, Shawn Porter's preparing himself. He's getting ready for the fight of his career against a guy that's very dangerous. He's one of the top guys in the welterweight division. Some people see him as number one. I see him as the number 2 welterweight, right behind Manny Pacquiao. Of course, Manny Pacquiao gets that first spot because of his resume, because what he has accomplished in his career. He's still an active fighter. He hasn't lost in a few years. He's the defending world champion right now, coming off a very big victory over a guy who was considered to me the number 1 welterweight because he came off the back-to-back victories over Shawn Porter and also Danny Garcia. He unified the titles, and he deserved to be the number 1 spot. Inactivity allowed somebody like Errol Spence to slide up and get close to that number 1 spot, and boxing fans feel that Errol Spence deserves that number 1 spot right now. Terrence Crawford, to me, he's pound for pound the best fighter in the world, but that doesn't necessarily make him the number 1 fighter in the welterweight division. He's probably ranked number 4 in the division to me right now because Terrence Crawford hasn't fought anyone in the welterweight division of 147 pounds to really crown him number 1 or even top 2 in the division. But that's the fight that the boxing fans truly want to see. That's a fight right now that's been marinating for more than a year, about a year and a half, almost 2 years. Terrence Crawford is about to become a free agent going into next year. So let's just hope that he makes the right decision for his career. We know that he's very happy with Top Rank. He's making good money. He's told me himself personally that he likes his relationship with Top Rank and he's making very good money. But he has to look at his legacy. He has to look at the fact that even though what he has done so far could put him in the Hall of Fame as a 3-division world champion, as an undisputed champion at 140 pounds, he has to have those other fights that mean something. The rivalries that lie out there on the PBC side is the fights that he should be fighting. And let's hope that that could bring him to PBC perhaps next year where he could get those big fight opportunities. But also like Errol Spence, he's already on the PBC side and he hasn't gotten some of these big fights. He hasn't gotten the Manny Pacquiao fight, and it's not guaranteed that he will get Manny Pacquiao if he defeats Shawn Porter. This is a 50-50 fight between him and Shawn Porter. Some people are giving Shawn Porter no chance whatsoever. They say that this man is going to get beat. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. Shawn Porter is not supposed to win this fight. Shawn, his mentality, his tough. This guy is no pushover. He's never been stopped before. He has a great resume. He's been in there with a lot of good fighters like Kell Brook. He's been in there with Adrian Broner, Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman. He's also fought the other guys out there that are, good, solid fighter like Adrian Granados and also Ugas. These guys, decent fighters, solid fighters, but the main guys he's taken on, he's done very well, and he's come up short in just those fights that he lost against Kell Brook and Keith Thurman, where basically, there were very close fights that could have went either way. Some people feel that he beat Kell Brook. I don't feel that way, but, it was a close fight. It was an ugly fight, and Shawn Porter brings that ugly fight to the table. They say he's a dirty fighter. They say he uses his head, head bunts, elbows, that he gets rough and tough in there. He likes to maul his opponent. He likes to get up real close. He's going to have to get on the inside against Errol Spence, and he's going to have to get past that jab. The boxing skills lie with Errol Spence because, we saw Shawn Porter implementing boxing skills in the Ugas fight. He didn't look that good. Shawn could box a little bit. He could get on his toes. He could use the jab, but he's definitely not going to outbox Errol Spence in this fight. So he has to get in there close. He has to get rough and tough, make it as ugly as possible. He has to bruise up Errol Spence in there, work him to the body with some good body shots. Spence is going to land body shots of his own, and Spence is a much better body puncher than Shawn Porter is. So, Shawn Porter has to just make this fight as ugly as possible and really try to make Errol Spence uncomfortable in this fight to really back him up and try to hurt him. Porter's not a very big puncher, but he's been in there with some very hard-hitting punchers like Keith Thurman and Danny Garcia and Kell Brook. These guys were hard-hitting punchers, and you can't tell me that Errol Spence is a bigger puncher than all three of those guys. I don't see it that way. I think he's on the same level as punching power as a Keith Thurman, as a Danny Garcia, and as a Kell Brook. I think he's a hard-hitting puncher, but he's not a devastating knockout puncher where he's laying guys out flat. He accumulates punishment to take his opponents out, and that's what he's going to do in this fight. He's going to try to put as much punishment on Shawn Porter where he's going to be able to make him either quit or basically stop him or have his trainer get into the ring, his pops, and stop the fight by throwing in the towel. That's the only way Errol Spence is going to be able to get a stoppage victory in this fight. Like I said, I see this fight as a tough, grueling fight that's going to go 12 rounds, and we're going to see what type of fighter Errol Spence is, because we've seen the boxing skills. We've seen him knock out guys like Chris Algieri and also Lamont Peterson, but we have to see him go in there and really do some damage the way he did against Kell Brook and break his man down to get that stoppage victory against Shawn Porter. It's going to be a very interesting fight, a hell of a fight. The pay-per-view numbers, people are expecting this fight to do extremely well. We know that he did 360,000 pay-per-view buys, close to the 400 mark with Mikey Garcia, but most of those numbers were drawn in by the Mexican fan base that love Mikey Garcia, and he brought in a very big majority of those fans for the Errol Spence fight. Spence has a good following. He has a good fan base that's growing right now. Guys are going to buy this pay-per-view. They're going to support him. He's a young, talented, undefeated American fighter, and this kid has the potential to become a star in boxing. We have to see once the numbers are tallied up, what's the star power that, Errol Spence truly has. It's better than Terrence Crawford's pay-per-view numbers for sure, but, I still feel that that's a 50-50 fight. For those guys, if Errol Spence unifies the titles, people feel that he should get, a bigger cut of the pie. If they negotiate a fight, I'm hoping that the negotiations between Bob Arum and Al Heyman for the Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder fight, there was also a discussion about Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence fighting next year, 2020. So let's hope that comes to fruition. Let's hope that this fight can definitely be made by the two, Fox and ESPN. That's a great combination right there for a big pay-per-view platform between two top undefeated fighters. It's a very big fight that the boxing fans are waiting for, but don't count Shawn Porter out because he could be the spoiler. He could pull up the upset in this fight. I'm a Shawn Porter fan. I got to be honest with you. I like Errol Spence. I respect him. I think he's a great fighter. I believe that he is one of the best fighters in the welterweight division. Like I said, I got him number 2 on my list. But Shawn Porter, he's a dog, bro. This guy goes in there and he shows tremendous heart. He doesn't let up. He's going to make it a close fight. He's going to make it a tough fight. And I believe it could go 12 rounds. Can he steal this fight away from Errol Spence and really dismantle the fight between Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford? Because, a lot of fights have been spoiled right now over the past year. The Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder fight didn't happen because Andy Ruiz, a fight that nobody thought that he was going to win, pulled off the upset. You have also, Jarrett Hurd and Charlo both losing in their bouts and stuff, which derailed the plans of them meeting up. So this fight here could be an upset. Like I said, don't count out Shawn Porter because Shawn Porter, this guy, I'm not saying that because he shows me a lot of love. He's always giving me interviews, and Shawn Porter's a really good dude that I like a lot. That's why I'm rooting for him. I'm supporting him, but also I'm also feeling like, I want Errol Spence to win because of the fact that I want to see that Terrence Crawford fight. I'm a Terrence Crawford fan as well, and I believe that's a great fight matchup. That's a 50-50 fight as well, but this fight right here is going to tell a lot. Win or lose, we're going to see where Errol Spence is right now, if he's really the truth. If he wins like I expect him to win, by decision, he's going to be riding on top of the boxing world right now in the welterweight division with 2 world titles. He's going to be called the man by a lot of boxing fans that follow Errol Spence, and they're going to feel like he deserves top billing, but he still has to deal with Manny Pacquiao, who is the cash cow in the division, who is the bigger name. He's an icon legend. Everybody wants to fight Manny Pacquiao. He's in the driver's seat. He is the WBA champion. He is coming off a very good win against a young undefeated champion that was unified champion as well. That was the #1 guy in the division before Errol Spence came on the scene and started taking over. So, you know, you can't tell me that Manny Pacquiao, with all that going on, is not the #1 welterweight in the world. And Errol Spence is calling him out, and Errol Spence wants to fight him and become the money man and become the big name. So, you know, you have to beat the man to become the man. And Manny Pacquiao is the man right now in the welterweight division. And Errol Spence, like I said, he has a tough task. This is no walkover. If he blows out Shawn Porter, then I will be extremely impressed. But my prediction, Errol Spence is going to win by 12th round decision victory. Does he get Manny Pacquiao after that? I don't think so. He'll probably fight somebody like Danny Garcia, because I believe Mikey Garcia is going to wind up getting the Manny Pacquiao sweepstakes. And you heard it from me right here. That deal between Mikey Garcia and Manny Pacquiao will happen in 2020 before Errol Spence gets his hands on Manny Pacquiao. But let's just hope that if he doesn't get the Manny Pacquiao fight, that he definitely pushes all those other guys aside and he goes straight for the Terrence Crawford fight, because that's the fight that the boxing fans are demanding. That's what they deserve, and we should have that fight because it's the super fight in the welterweight division between 2 undefeated champions. But that's my take on the fight that's going to be taking place this weekend. So tune in to Fox Pay-Per-View. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in to this YouTube channel right here, J. Calderon Boxing Talk. Please hit that little red subscribe button, hit that bell icon so you get all of my notifications once I drop a new video. Also, follow me on all social media platforms, on Instagram, on Twitter. Join the Facebook boxing group page, all under the same name, J. Calderon Boxing Talk. I'm J. Calderon, Stand Clear Entertainment. Thanks for your support. Keep watching, and please subscribe.